Learning how to draw online is hard. I know this because I spent years on YouTube trying to teach myself how to draw so I could make it into my dream animation school. And spoiler alert, I got rejected twice. Even though I had drawn for years until that point. But it's okay because 3 years have passed, and in that time I got accepted into my dream school. My art went from this to this, and now I teach and make videos for a living. That took me 10 years, but in that time I learned lessons that I think could have saved me a few years if I had known them sooner. If you implement one of these lessons, then your art will improve, but if you consistently implement all 10, I genuinely think these lessons could change your life as they did for me. So here are 10 biggest realizations from 10 years of drawing, and the first one is going to be controversial. The biggest issue that self-taught artists face is figuring out what the fundamentals are, because nobody seems to have an answer. Some will say anatomy, perspective, value, and design, and all these things that no one can decide on, and we're suffering because of it. But realizing this simplified everything. Form is the only fundamental. These 5 basic shapes are the only fundamentals you need to get good at, and it's because nothing else would be possible without them. Before I get keyboard warriors saying, hey, what about anatomy? What about perspective? What about value? These are really important, but tell me, how are you gonna draw anatomy? You're not gonna start with the muscles, right? No, you're gonna break them down into forms. Can you draw anything in perspective without something in the scene? No, what do you put in there? You put in forms. What about value? How do you light an object? Well, you're rendering form. Fundamental means it would not be possible without. All these things would not be possible without, so form is the only fundamental. In my experience, I only got good at drawing what I wanted, like anatomy, like perspective, once I thoroughly understood form. So check out this video on the 5 basic forms if you really want to nail that down. I promise you it's the most important thing. Now, another realization that changed the way I drew everything was that drawing is thinking. If you want to improve your art, you have to realize that you're not practicing drawing. You're practicing thinking, and your drawing is just proof of your thinking. So when you see these super analytical drawings from Peter Hahn, what he's demonstrating is the way he's thinking about his drawings. It's not about the drawing. Drawing is a very easy thing to do. You put the line that your brain wants to do. The issue is not with what you're drawing, it's the way you're thinking about stuff. So one example of good thinking when it comes to drawing is constructivism, which is the idea that all objects can be broken down into simple forms. This way of thinking allows Kim Jong-il to draw the way he does. It's not because he draws better, it's because he thinks better. Knowing this changed the way I drew because I started worrying less about the drawing and worrying more about the way I thought about it. When I draw now, I don't worry if I make mistakes. I worry about correcting those mistakes, taking notes, and fixing my drawing on the spot. That's why you see quote unquote uglier drawings, but I'm learning faster because of it. And one thing that's helped me learn way faster is getting better information from my online sources. And the way I've done that is by searching visual communication, not art. For example, if I searched how to learn art on YouTube, I get this. But if I search how to learn visual communication, I get this. Now this is way more related to entertainment design, drawing from imagination, and the constructivism that we're talking about. This will help you draw what you want. And it's because of the way we define the words. When you ask somebody what is art, you get bananas taped on a wall and abstract paintings. You know, I'm not here to judge, do your thing. But if you want to get hired to be an artist, what they're paying you to do is communicate an idea visually for them. That's why visual communication is a much stronger basis to practice anything related to entertainment design, animation, game development, and all this stuff. By the way, if you hope to make your art a career, you have to know that your art only improves in context to a goal. Not having a goal for your art means your practice is purely at the whim of your interests. So on Monday, if you found a piece that inspired you to draw heads, you draw heads. But on Tuesday, you saw a painting, you'll do a painting. This lack of focus means even though you're drawing, you won't be improving as fast as you can because all your efforts are being put in different places. Now, if you want to see fast improvements, you have to narrow down your focuses, and picking a goal will do that. Every time I'm drawing, I'm thinking, will this help me achieve my goal? By narrowing down a single goal, all your efforts become much more directed and you improve much faster. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video, but I should mention that if you want to see consistent progress towards your goals, then you need to protect your creative time. And in today's day and age, that's pretty tough because social media companies are designed to addict you to doom scrolling to the point where I'm past doom scrolling YouTube Shorts, I'm doom scrolling my email inbox. So that's why I'm proud to tell you guys about today's sponsor, wan't. wan't is an app that is designed to do the opposite of social media apps, and it has psychological tricks to take away the habit of doom scrolling. Every time I open Instagram or YouTube, I get redirected to wan't, and it'll force me to wait 10 seconds and look myself in the eyes and contemplate my decision or declare my intention. And these are proven tricks to help decouple you from the mindless habit of doom scrolling. And if all else fails, then you can just block the app for a certain amount of time so that you aren't tempted to get distracted from your art practice. I've used wan't for a year and it has already saved me one whole week. That is like 150 hours of doom scrolling saved. So if you want to buy back your time and protect your creative hours, then you can do so with a free month trial of wan't with the link in my description. With that said, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and thank you, wan't. Speaking of improving much faster, practice will never be the project. There is no better experience than the actual project. And I think if you're somebody who's been sitting on your project for a long time thinking, I'll do it when I'm ready, spoiler alert, once you get to a level where you feel ready, your taste will have evolved past it. So don't let your projects die. You will actually learn so much more about being an artist by doing the projects because it will put you in the mentality of actually being a professional artist. So if you have a piece that you've been waiting to be ready for, this is your sign to start now because you'll never feel ready for it. You just gotta do it. And according to the rule of 100, you gotta do it 100 times if you expect to be good at it. This realization has single-handedly saved me from getting gray hairs because before knowing this, I would get so frustrated that my drawings weren't looking how I wanted them to. It's like, I've been practicing. Why don't my drawings look good? Why can't I draw like Kim Jong-gi? Why can't I draw like Sam does art? Because you haven't done it 100 times. This is a reminder that knowledge will never replace line mileage. If you want to get good at drawing, you have to do so much drawing that you sort of bore yourself into high taste. Truth be told, it's actually way higher than that. Any artist that you love, any professional, has done thousands of it. So this is a reminder to be gentle and put in that line mileage. Now, here's a piece of generic advice you've heard from every artist ever. Observe more, right? Kim Jong-gi says that every professional will tell you to observe. And it makes sense because if you want to draw, you're going to be drawing things that exist in the world. So you kind of have to look at the things that exist in the world, right? But I never really got good at it until I realized this. Unseeing gets you halfway to a good drawing. So much of us don't actually know what things look like because our brains lie to us and see the world as symbols. This is why if you asked somebody to draw a car, they draw a 2D boxy car. So if you can practice seeing correctly, you are already halfway to drawing well because drawing itself is not hard. It's just the motor control of putting what you see on paper. What's hard is seeing correctly. So if you want to practice unseeing and actually making sure that what you're looking at is what you're putting down, watch this video I have about 5 ways to do that. Related to this, we have reference drawing. I studied reference for years, but I didn't make good improvements until I realized this. Studying reference is just pattern recognition. If you want to draw like Kim Jong-gi, then you have to know this. When you are studying your references, don't focus on the minutia. What this looks like in practice is studying human anatomy like this instead of like this, because the details in this one can't be replicated across all the other references, but the details in this can. So what you want to do in order to build a good visual library is to focus on the patterns across all your references. And when you do that, you'll quickly build a vast network of information. This pattern recognition is how Kim Jong-gi was able to build such a vast visual library.
And then when there is a right amount of information that has been accumulated inside your head, then you can make assumptions. You can just assume how it would look like when you draw.
Now, building his visual library took a lot of time, and that's reminded me that everything you want with your art goals will come. It will just take longer than you think. This is for anybody who gets frustrated or unmotivated by their lack of progress. It's a reminder that you kind of want to be gentle on yourself. A, because the only way to guarantee you won't achieve your goals is to stop pursuing them. So if your frustration with yourself is stronger than your ability to keep drawing, you've ruined it for yourself. So know that whatever you hope to achieve with art will come true. It is inevitable. It just won't happen in the time frame that you want. And that's okay. When I got rejected from art school for the first time, I was embarrassed and ashamed, but I was like, it's okay, next year I'll get in, I'll prove them wrong. Then I was even more embarrassed and ashamed because the year after that, I got rejected again. And in the moment, I thought it was the worst thing in the world, but only now, in hindsight, do I realize that the journey takes its time, and the course I went through has set me up to be the artist I am today. However long something takes you, there isn't a judgment on too fast or too slow. It is exactly what you needed at the time. And it's unfortunate that we only get to realize this looking back, but I would not have traded my journey for anything else in hindsight. And the final realization that has helped guide my art is that the only thing you need to improve your art is curiosity. There's so much of a grind mindset with art, put in the 10,000 hours. But at the end of the day, if you're wondering, what do I need to do to become a better artist? You need to just follow your curiosity. Because while it's easy to say, well, every artist should learn the basics and the fundamentals, the truth is you will learn best at a topic that you are the most interested in. So if you follow your curiosity, you are setting yourself up to be the best at learning that thing. So the only thing you need is curiosity. And bonus 11th tip, you will improve a lot faster if you take classes. But if you're interested in taking classes with me, Drawing Club starts in June. Check it out in the link in the description. But if you're strictly self-taught, this video on how to study will really help. I'll see you guys in the next video, and thank you for watching.